First and foremost, it's lovely to have an open tasting room again with new additions. It's great to hear voices inside the tasting room and to see people come through. Today I'm doing something a little bit different, something that we haven't done for quite some time. We're doing a comparative of Maiden Vintage versus current vintage. And Maiden Vintage, we're talking here specifically about the 2007 Syrah, the Oldenburg Vineyard Syrah, and then compare that to the 2018 Oldenburg Vineyard Syrah. I think this is going to be absolutely spectacular. Now, often at Oldenburg Vineyards, Merlot and Cabernet Franc seem to take the focus because our terroir really reflects those sites. However, one absolutely spectacular cultivar that I feel is incredibly underrated here, which I love and adore, is Syrah. So, Syrah or Shiraz? Technically speaking, it's one and the same grape cultivar, but now the biggest opinion worldwide, and most scholars seem to be agreeing on this, is the fact that although they're the same grape cultivar, the style is different. Now, Syrah is a more old world style, whereas Shiraz is a more new world style. Now, I know I'll be splitting hairs by saying this, but it is something that is considered to be truth in these days. Here I've got two examples of Syrah, and of course we're doing a comparative of Maiden versus current vintage. Now, the Maiden vintage is a 2007 and the current vintage is a 2018. For me personally, I like working my way from the younger wines to the older wines because I feel the younger wines are a lot more vibrant in fruit, a lot more fresh in style, and I feel the older vintage wines are best enjoyed after that because they can often have a lot more tertiary aromas and a lot finer nuances. This is a personal opinion, but you can taste either way. So, we're going to start on the Syrah 2018, and this of course being the younger of the two. Let's see what we find there. I mean, of course the color is quite different to what you'll find on the 2007. There's a lot more purple in the glass itself. I find that with Syrah you'll find a lot of purple in the glass, generally speaking. That's because of the very small grapes with also quite thick skins. So let's have a smell of that, and that is just divine. Oh my goodness. I'm a big fan of the nose of this Syrah. It's got a wonderful big, almost dark plum, dark kirsch, slightly red currantly, but it's got mostly more mocha characteristics to it and almost a bit of a savory characteristic like some shaved parmesan. I'm a big fan of the savory characteristic of this Syrah. And I think let's find out what we see on the palate. Juicy, juicy, juicy. I mean, that nose matches the palate immediately. There's a lot of these dark fruit flavors and a lot of these really voluptuous aromas there. Bit of violets, of course. To those that know me, know I love describing Syrah with violets. But just a slight more characteristic of white pepper rather than black pepper. And again, not all too much pepper in this one particularly. The pepper compound that's often found in Syrah is called rotundone, just for anyone that would like to know. And it is actually found there, and that's why your perception of pepper is so present often. Now, this one isn't too strong, and I actually really enjoy that. The elegance here is much more focused on the fruit. In terms of finish, you're looking at quite a long finish here. It is very much a black fruit finish. There's not all too much red fruit coming through there, although the red currants do come to the palate and come to the fore quite a bit. But the feeling is more on the tannins. It's a soft, silky tannin that I really, really enjoy on our Syrah. I think it's brilliant. Now I think it's time that we move across to the 2007. This wine is known as the Joshua Syrah. It is named after one of the children of the owners, Adrian and Vanessa, and it is absolutely spectacular. When Adrian and Vanessa first planted vines on the estate in 2004, it was Cabernet Franc as well as Syrah. It was done as a, let's see if this works. And it did. It really, really did. Within a couple of years, the vines were harvested, and it was a 2007 vintage. Now, interestingly enough, this specific wine cannot date nor depict the cultivar on it because of some regulatory issues at the time. We weren't really foreseeing that we were going to release this wine to market. It was done as a more personal endeavor for Adrian and Vanessa. Well, all I can say is I'm glad we still have a couple of bottles of it left because the aromas are just jumping out of the glass. And Jeepers, it is immense. Wonderful wood integration. Now, wood is something that we've worked quite a bit on in the past. This has got 40% new oak on it, and the rest being just slightly more older fill barrels, and then a couple of second fill barrels on there too. And you can really feel that wood integration there with that cedar wood in this particular wine. But not just that, there's some beautiful earthy characteristics on this. Wonderful forest floor, leather, charcuterie, mushrooms, all those tertiary characteristics, along with these black fruit and purple fruit characters. Of course, it's already started showcasing some bricking in the glass, as you might be able to see and might be able to tell. But it's still vibrant and fresh. And let's see if we find on the palate what the nose is giving us. Oh, that is stunning. That is stunning. It's a really full-bodied palate experience. Now, but one thing that I would really say, this wine should use some decanting, or at least quite a few minutes in a decanter or any big, wider, bold glass. That's really going to help it unfold. It'll seem very closed at first, but it expands quite a bit. Now, I've had this in this particular glass for the last 45 minutes, and all I can say is, yes, this is really working incredibly well. I can definitely recommend it. On the palate, we were talking about different aromas and characteristics, flavors rather. Oh, those flavors are divine. Savory, but black fruit centric. Long to go with this Syrah. This can go for another 10 years, I feel, easily. It's definitely got the body to match it. And the acidity, juiciness, long lingering finish. All I can say is stunning. If this is anything to go by, and the history and the pedigree of the 2007, I would love to see what happens with this wine in just a few years' time. Ladies and gentlemen, fantastic. Thank you for joining in. Really appreciate it. Cheers.